The crash landing. Max Carter gripped the controls of his small exploration ship, the Starseeker *, as alarms blared around him. Come on, he muttered, trying to keep his cool as the ship shook violently. The navigational system flickered, then went dark. He was in deep trouble. Just moments before, he had been charting a new route through the Targan Nebula. Now, his ship was plummeting toward an uncharted alien planet, its surface dotted with jagged mountains and swirling storms. Max could already see the massive rocks rising to meet him, and he had no time to think. With a final, desperate pull, he yanked the controls. The ship veered slightly, skimming over the rocky terrain before crashing hard. The impact sent a shockwave through the vessel, throwing Max against his harness. Dust and debris filled the cabin, and everything went black. Max groaned, slowly regaining consciousness. What a ride! He blinked, clearing the haze from his vision. The cockpit was a mess. Blinking lights and smoke filled the air. Time to check if I'm still in one piece. He unbuckled himself and stumbled to the hatch. With a grunt, he pushed it open, stepping out onto the alien soil. The landscape was breathtaking yet ominous. Towering mountains loomed in the distance, their peaks hidden in thick clouds. Strange plants with vibrant colors swayed gently in the breeze, and eerie noises echoed from nearby. Before he could gather his bearings, Max heard voices approaching. Panic surged through him. He quickly ducked behind a rock, peering out to see a group of tall, menacing figures adorned in gleaming armor. They were unlike anything he had ever seen: scaled skin, sharp claws, and eyes that glowed with an otherworldly light. Max's heart raced. He had landed in the territory of the feared Xeroc, the most dangerous alien warlord in the universe. "Search the area," one of the aliens commanded, its voice deep and resonant. "The human cannot escape. He is a prize for our master." Max cursed under his breath. Great, just what I need. He knew he had to act fast. These creatures wouldn't hesitate to kill him. He scanned the area for an escape route but saw none. He could either try to run or hide. Hiding seemed like the better option. He crouched lower, holding his breath as the aliens drew nearer. Their laughter sent chills down his spine. "The human thinks he can hide from us," one jeered. "Pathetic. We will find him, and when we do, he will wish he had never come here." Just as he thought he was cornered, Max spotted a broken-down rock structure not far from his hiding spot. It looked like an old outpost, partially buried in the ground. With no time to lose, he bolted toward it, hoping to find some cover. Inside the outpost, he stumbled across ancient alien technology, wires hanging from the ceiling and strange symbols etched into the walls. The air was thick with dust, and he coughed as he searched for a way to hide. Max's mind raced with thoughts of escape, but he knew he couldn't stay here forever. Suddenly, the sounds of footsteps echoed outside the entrance. Max pressed himself against the wall, holding his breath. The aliens were closer now, and their voices filled the room. "Split up. He can't be far," one of them barked. Max felt a wave of panic wash over him as he listened to them scouring the area. "We'll bring him to Xeroc, and he'll show us what a human is worth." Max's heart raced. If they brought him to Xeroc, he'd need a plan, and fast. He couldn't just let them capture him. But what could he offer this feared warlord to save his life? An idea sparked in his mind, one that was as crazy as it was daring. "All right, Max," he whispered to himself. "Time to think outside the box." The bold proposal. Max waited in the shadows, heart pounding, as the aliens continued their search outside. He could hear them moving closer, their heavy footsteps thudding against the ground. Panic clawed at his throat, but desperation fueled his resolve. He had to find a way to survive this, and if it meant making an outrageous proposal, so be it. Gathering his courage, Max crept out of the old outpost and into the open air, his eyes darting for any sign of the aliens. They were momentarily distracted, searching further away. Seizing the opportunity, He sprinted toward a rocky outcropping for cover. Think, Max, think. He muttered to himself, glancing back at the commotion. What can I offer these monsters that'll keep me alive? Just then, a booming voice interrupted his thoughts. Find him. Bring him to Zarok now. It was the commander of the group, a towering figure with scales glistening in the sunlight. Max's mind raced as he recalled tales of Zarok, the feared warlord known for his brutal tactics and cunning intellect. What could possibly intrigue someone like him? An idea struck him like lightning. If I can convince him I have something valuable to offer, maybe I can turn this around, Max thought. What if I teach him about human reproduction? It's bizarre enough to pique his interest. With a newfound determination, he took a deep breath and stepped into view, hands raised in a sign of surrender. The aliens stopped, their eyes narrowing in confusion. Here I am, he called out. I'm unarmed and ready to talk. The commander pointed at Max, snarling, Seize him. Max was quickly surrounded, but he stood his ground. Wait, I have a proposition for Zarok. The aliens exchanged glances, curiosity flickering in their eyes. A proposition. The commander growled. What do you have to offer? Let me speak to Zarok. I have knowledge that could change everything for your kind, Max said, his voice steady despite the fear churning in his stomach. Knowledge. The commander scoffed, but there was a hint of intrigue. What could a weak human know that would interest our warlord? Max leaned in closer, lowering his voice. I can teach you about human reproduction. Think about it. If you understand how humans mate and reproduce, you could create stronger warriors, a new generation that is the best of both worlds. The aliens looked at one another, considering his words. You think you can teach us? One of them said, disbelief evident in his tone. I know it sounds absurd, Max admitted, but hear me out. Your warriors could learn strategies to create superior offspring. Imagine a race of fighters that can adapt, evolve, and conquer. Zarok would be unstoppable. Enough, roared the commander. You will speak to Zarok. But if he finds you worthless, your fate will be sealed. Max nodded, relief washing over him. Fair enough. Just give me a chance. Within moments, he was taken before Zarok in his imposing war chamber, adorned with trophies of defeated enemies, and lit by the eerie glow of alien artifacts. The warlord sat upon a throne, his presence overwhelming. Max felt a chill run down his spine, but he stood tall. Human. Zarok bellowed, his voice echoing throughout the chamber. You claim to have knowledge of reproduction. Speak quickly, or I will end your life right here. Max gulped, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on him. My Lord Zarok, I offer you a chance to understand the secret of human reproduction. It's not just about mating. It's about emotion, connection, and creating a powerful lineage. With this knowledge, you could breed an army unlike any the universe has ever seen. Zarok leaned forward, his glowing eyes piercing through Max. You think your weak human emotions can create strength. Prove it. Max knew he was walking a tightrope, but he had come too far to back down now. I can show you everything. Just give me a chance. Let me demonstrate how it works. Zarok's expression was unreadable, but Max could see the wheels turning in his mind. Very well, human. I will grant you a chance. But remember, if I am not impressed, your death will be slow and painful. Max took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. Understood, my lord. Now, he just had to figure out how to teach a warlord about human reproduction without getting himself killed. The hilarious science lesson. Max stood in the center of the war chamber, feeling like a lone actor on a stage surrounded by a sea of stern, scaly faces. The flickering lights cast long shadows, creating an almost theatrical atmosphere. He cleared his throat, trying to muster confidence. All right, Max, time to impress this warlord, he thought, forcing a smile. Let's start with the basics, Max began, pacing slightly as he gestured with his hands. Human reproduction involves two individuals coming together to create new life. It's both a biological process and, well, a rather intimate one. Zarak leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. Intimate. Explain. Max hesitated, unsure of how to explain such a complex concept without losing his audience. Well, intimacy is about feelings. It's more than just, physical connection. It's about forming a bond. The aliens exchanged confused glances, their brows furrowing. Bond? You mean like chains? One asked. No, not chains. Max chuckled nervously. I mean a connection, like a partnership. Humans usually do this because they care for each other. It makes the process more meaningful. Zarak grunted, unimpressed. Feelings are weak. Strength is what matters. Show me how it works. Max swallowed hard. Right. Let's get to the physical part. He quickly searched for a way to explain without delving into the graphic details. So it begins with a male and a female. They, come together in a private space. You know, like a den. Zarak's eyes glinted with interest. A den. Are you suggesting we create a space for breeding? Max blinked, trying to focus. Well, yes. It could be a special area where warriors can, focus on mating without distractions. He was starting to feel more like a bizarre tour guide than a science teacher. One of the aliens raised a clawed hand. What happens next? Do they fight? Fight? No fighting. Max exclaimed, waving his hands in a calming gesture. It's not about aggression. It's about, harmony. They come together, and the male, well, he deposits his genetic material into the female. The aliens exchanged glances again, some of them whispering. Genetic material. One said, clearly perplexed. Yes, this material contains the traits that are passed on to the offspring, Max explained, gesturing animatedly. It's like a recipe. You mix ingredients to create something new and unique. Unique. Zarak interrupted, raising an eyebrow. Explain further. Max took a deep breath, diving deeper into the metaphor. Imagine if each warrior had special skills. You could combine their traits to create the ultimate soldier. Strength from one parent, intelligence from another. The possibilities are endless. One of the aliens, a smaller one with vibrant scales, looked intrigued. So we can make super warriors. Exactly, Max replied, feeling a surge of excitement. But remember, there's more to it than just the physical. You need a nurturing environment for the offspring to grow strong and healthy. That's where the emotional bond comes back in. Zarak's expression softened slightly, which was terrifyingly strange for someone so fearsome. You speak of emotions. Are you saying they are necessary? Think of it this way. Max pressed on, trying to keep the momentum. If a soldier knows they are loved and supported, they will fight harder. Their strength comes from more than just muscles. It's about heart. The room fell silent, the aliens processing this new information. Then, to Max's surprise, a low chuckle rumbled through the ranks. Heart. You humans are truly strange creatures. Max let out a nervous laugh, relieved to see their tension easing. We are a bit odd, I guess, but it works for us. If you want to create powerful offspring, you need to understand this balance. Zarak leaned back in his throne, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. You have intrigued me, human. Continue. With renewed energy, Max dove back into his lesson, detailing the stages of reproduction, parenting, and the importance of emotional bonds. As he explained, he made jokes and playful comparisons, trying to keep the mood light. The aliens laughed at his absurd analogies, their laughter echoing throughout the chamber. By the end of the session, Max felt a strange sense of camaraderie with the aliens. He had turned a life-threatening situation into a bizarre lesson on human reproduction, all while keeping them entertained. Maybe I'm not as hopeless as I thought, he mused, a grin spreading across his face. Little did he know This unlikely bond could lead to more adventures and trouble than he ever imagined. The chaos of experimentation. The atmosphere in the war chamber shifted from tense to curious as Max wrapped up his lesson. Zerok, leaning back on his throne, seemed surprisingly engaged. "You have piqued my interest, human," he said slowly. "Now we must put your teachings to the test. I want to witness this reproduction process firsthand." Max's heart raced. "Oh, my lord, that might be a bit difficult to arrange immediately," he stammered, trying to think on his feet. "Reproduction requires a certain environment. As I mentioned, you can't just. Do not question my orders." Zerok roared, causing Max to flinch. "We will create the environment. Prepare for experimentation." A wave of panic washed over Max. Experimentation. Wait, what do you mean by that? Zerok's eyes glinted with mischief. "We will gather volunteers. They will practice what you have taught. The strongest among us shall be chosen for this reproduction." Max opened his mouth to protest, but quickly realized he was in no position to argue. He was stuck in a warlord's lair, surrounded by aliens who were far more interested in chaos than caution. "All right, I can work with this," he thought. "Just stay calm and guide them." Within minutes, the chamber transformed into a makeshift arena. Zerok summoned his most fearsome warriors, alien gladiators, muscle-bound and covered in scars from battles fought and won. Max gulped as they marched in, each one looking like they could crush him with a single swipe. "Now," Zerok announced, "who among you is willing to attempt this mating process?" A hulking brute stepped forward, flexing his muscles. "I will demonstrate this reproduction," he bellowed, his voice reverberating through the chamber. The other warriors cheered, their excitement palpable. Max couldn't help but feel a mix of dread and curiosity. "This is going to be a disaster," he muttered under his breath. "But I have to make it work." "Bring forth a female," Zerok commanded. The aliens scrambled, and soon a female warrior was brought in, strong and fierce, her scales shimmering in the dim light. Max took a deep breath, stepping forward. "All right, let's set some ground rules. You need to remember that this is about connection. You must treat each other with respect." The male warrior snorted, his eyes gleaming with bravado. "Respect. This is a battle for dominance." No, it's not about dominance," Max insisted, waving his arms dramatically. "Think of it as a partnership, an act of collaboration." The audience of aliens leaned in, their expressions a mix of amusement and confusion. "Collaboration," one of them echoed, chuckling. "This human is entertaining." Max pressed on, feeling more like a circus ringmaster than a teacher. "Yes, collaboration. You must understand one another's needs. So, how about you both start by talking? Get to know each other." The warriors looked at each other, baffled. The male warrior scratched his head, clearly unsure of how to proceed. "Talk? I've never had to do that before." Max sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Just say something. Ask her name." "Name?" The warrior echoed, scratching his head again. "I am Gloric. And you are?" The female warrior rolled her eyes. "I am Vera. Now can we get on with this mating?" Max desperately tried to steer the conversation. "No, you need to ask her about her likes and dislikes. What does she enjoy? What are her strengths?" The aliens exchanged glances, trying to comprehend this new strategy. Vera looked unimpressed. "I like crushing my enemies. Is that good enough?" Gloric chuckled. "I enjoy smashing things too. We have much in common." Max facepalmed. No, not that. You're missing the point." He turned to the crowd. "This is supposed to be about connection, not destruction." Just then, the tension snapped. Gloric reached out to touch Vira's arm, but in his enthusiasm, he miscalculated and accidentally sent her flying across the room. She crashed into a wall, leaving a dent and shaking the entire chamber. "Oops," Gloric muttered, looking sheepish. The crowd erupted in laughter, howls of amusement filling the air. Zarok, still seated on his throne, bellowed with laughter. "This is entertaining. Continue, human." Max stood there, feeling utterly defeated yet oddly amused. "This wasn't what I had in mind," he muttered, but then he couldn't help but laugh along. The chaos of the moment was ridiculous, and as the aliens reveled in the spectacle, he realized he might just be able to use this to his advantage. "All right, let's try something else," he shouted over the ruckus, ready to steer the madness in a new direction. A lesson in emotions. The laughter from the chaos of Gloric and Vera's awkward encounter still echoed in the war chamber as Max wiped tears of amusement from his eyes. While the aliens were enjoying the spectacle, he knew he had to refocus their attention on the more serious aspects of human reproduction. "All right, everyone, enough with the laughter," Max called, raising his hands to quiet the crowd. "We need to get back on track. Today, I'm going to teach you about emotions and how they play a crucial role in reproduction." Zarok leaned forward, his expression shifting from amusement to curiosity. "Emotions? You said this is important. Explain." Max took a deep breath, trying to convey the significance of the topic. Emotions are what connect people. They bring warmth and trust into a relationship. Without them, reproduction is just a mechanical process, devoid of meaning. One of the younger warriors raised his claw. "Why do we need these emotions? Isn't strength enough?" "Strength is important," Max agreed, nodding. "But think about it. If you're going into battle, do you fight harder for someone you care about or just for glory?" Zarok's eyes narrowed as he considered this. "I see. You humans fight for bonds, not just victories." "Exactly," Max said, encouraged by their engagement. "Let's imagine a scenario. Gloric, Vera, can you come up here again?" With a grunt, Gloric and Vera returned to the center of the chamber. The crowd fell silent, eager to see what would unfold this time. "Now let's practice some emotional connection. First, Gloric, why don't you share something personal about yourself?" Gloric looked bewildered. "Personal? Like my favorite weapon?" Max chuckled. "No, not that. Share something about your life. Your dreams, fears, anything that makes you, you." The warrior hesitated, scratching his head. I dream of conquering new worlds and becoming the strongest in the galaxy." "Great. Now, Vera, what about you? What are your dreams?" Max prompted, watching intently. Vera crossed her arms, her expression thoughtful. "I want to lead my clan to victory. I want to protect those I care about." The audience was quiet, their interest piqued. Max smiled, seeing the seeds of connection begin to grow. "See, now you both have something in common. You both have dreams. This is the foundation of your bond." The two warriors glanced at each other, their earlier tension easing as they started to realize they were more alike than they thought. Encouraged, Max pressed on. "Now let's try expressing your feelings. Gloric, tell Vera what you appreciate about her." Gloric puffed up his chest, attempting to sound noble. "I admire your strength, Vera. You are a fierce warrior, and I respect that." Vira's eyes widened in surprise. "Thank you, Gloric. I appreciate your courage in battle. You are not just strong, you are a leader." Max clapped his hands together, his heart racing with excitement. "Yes, that's it. Emotional connections are built through appreciation and understanding." The crowd erupted in cheers, some of the warriors slapping each other on the back in approval. Max felt a swell of triumph. He had turned the chaotic experiment into a valuable lesson. "Now let's take it a step further," he continued, seeing the growing enthusiasm. "How about we role-play a situation where you must work together? Imagine an enemy attack. You need to communicate and strategize." "An attack?" Vera asked, a playful glint in her eye. "Now that sounds fun." Max grinned. "Exactly. Let's create a mock battle scenario. You both need to use your emotional connection to make decisions. The two warriors positioned themselves, each trying to mimic strategic postures. The crowd watched with bated breath as Max narrated a scenario. The enemy is approaching. You must decide whether to attack head-on or create a diversion. Gloric shouted, "Let's go in with full strength. We are warriors." Vera shook her head. "No. If we attack directly, we'll be outnumbered. We need to create a diversion to lure them away." Max intervened, encouraging their discussion. "See how emotions influence your strategy. You both want to protect each other and your clan. That bond can make your strategy stronger." As they debated, the room filled with energy. The warriors started shouting suggestions, some animatedly pointing out tactics and others adding humorous comments. Laughter echoed through the chamber, the earlier tension replaced by a sense of unity. Zarak leaned back, crossing his arms with a satisfied grin. "This human is proving to be more than a mere entertainer. He is teaching us the value of emotions and connections." Max's heart swelled with pride. In this chaotic setting, he was beginning to see hope. Maybe, just maybe, he could turn these fearsome aliens into allies through the power of understanding and emotion. As he watched Gloric and Vera's newfound bond strengthen, he knew the true battle had only just begun. The unexpected challenge. The excitement in the chamber was palpable as the warriors cheered and bantered back and forth, their previous reservations fading into laughter and camaraderie. Max had successfully ignited a spark of understanding among the alien gladiators, but he knew that keeping their attention would require more than just role-playing. "All right, everyone. You've done an amazing job so far," Max called, raising his hands to capture their focus once more. "But now we're going to up the stakes. I have an unexpected challenge for you." The room fell silent, the warriors exchanging curious glances. Zarak leaned forward, intrigued. "What is this challenge, human? We are eager to prove our strength." Max cleared his throat, feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation. "This challenge will test your emotional bonds and teamwork. You will need to navigate an obstacle course while working together as a team. You'll have to communicate and rely on each other's strengths to succeed." Gloric's eyes widened. "An obstacle course? That sounds simple enough. We are strong warriors." "Ah, but there's a catch," Max said, grinning mischievously. "You will be blindfolded. You'll have to rely solely on your partner's guidance to make it through the course." Gasps erupted from the crowd. "Blindfolded? That is madness," one warrior exclaimed. "Exactly. It's about trust," Max explained, the excitement bubbling in his chest. "You'll need to communicate effectively to get through it safely. If you don't work together, you might end up in a heap of trouble." Zarak crossed his arms, his eyes gleaming with enthusiasm. "This could be amusing. Set up the course, human." Within moments, the chamber was transformed into an intricate obstacle course. Max had hastily arranged a series of barriers, pits, and tunnels using various items from the warlord's lair, turning the once intimidating space into a chaotic maze. He felt a thrill of anticipation. This would truly test the bonds the warriors had started to forge. "Gloric, Vera, you're up first," Max called, motioning for the pair to step forward. The warriors exchanged determined looks and nodded, their earlier camaraderie now fueling their confidence. As Max handed them blindfolds, he took a moment to explain the course. "You'll need to navigate through these obstacles and reach the finish line without bumping into anything. If you fall or touch the barriers, you'll have to start over." Gloric grinned, adjusting his blindfold. "I'll be your eyes, Vera." Vera smirked, a spark of competitive spirit in her eyes. "And I will keep you in line." Max stepped back, his heart racing as he shouted, "Go!" The pair stumbled forward, their movements clumsy at first. "Left," Vera shouted, and Gloric veered to the side, barely avoiding a wall. "Faster, we don't have all day," Gloric bellowed, but Vera's laughter filled the air, easing the tension. "Careful, "You're going too far," she cautioned, and the warriors' banter echoed around the chamber, laughter intertwining with their determined voices. "Turn right." "No, your other right," Vera corrected, and the audience erupted in laughter as Gloric spun in the wrong direction, hitting a soft barrier that sent him tumbling backward. "Oops, maybe I should take a step back," he joked, his tone lighthearted. "This is harder than it looks." Max watched with bated breath, feeling the thrill of the competition grow. As they continued through the course, their communication became more effective. "There's a pit ahead. Jump," Vera called out. "Got it," Gloric responded, his voice steady. With a leap, he cleared the obstacle, and the crowd roared in approval. "Keep going. You're almost there," Max cheered, his voice a mix of encouragement and excitement. But just as they were about to reach the finish line, a loud crash interrupted the fun. A nearby structure collapsed under the weight of the earlier chaos, sending debris flying. The warriors gasped, the mood shifting from joy to concern. "Are you all right?" Max shouted, panic rising in his chest. Vira quickly called out, "Gloric, stay with me. We need to move." In that moment, the atmosphere transformed. Instead of retreating, the warriors instinctively rallied together. Gloric extended his arm, guiding Vera away from the falling debris. "Follow my voice. We're getting out of here," he yelled, leading her safely through the course. With every ounce of determination, they navigated the chaos, their bond stronger than ever. The audience watched, transfixed, as the duo emerged from the wreckage, panting but unharmed. The room erupted in cheers, the sound of their victory reverberating against the walls. Zarok stood, his eyes wide with admiration. "You have proven that strength lies not just in muscle, but in unity. This human has shown us the power of emotions." Max felt a rush of pride swell within him. They had turned an unexpected challenge into a moment of triumph, and he realized that perhaps he was not just a teacher, but also a catalyst for change. As the cheers echoed around him, he smiled, knowing that the journey was only just beginning. A new alliance. The thunderous applause echoed in the chamber as Max caught his breath, a mix of exhilaration and relief flooding his senses. Gloric and Vera stood side by side, triumphant and flushed with victory. Their teamwork had not only gotten them through the obstacle course, but had also solidified a bond that felt unbreakable. Now that was impressive. Max shouted, his voice carrying over the cheers. "You've shown that working together is the key to overcoming any challenge. Today, you've not only learned about emotions, but also how they can forge powerful alliances." Zarok stepped forward, his expression a mix of respect and awe. "You have changed us, human. We came to mock you, but instead, you have taught us the strength of unity. We will not forget this lesson." Max felt a swell of pride, knowing he had made a meaningful impact on these once hostile warriors. "Thank you, Zarok. This alliance means a lot to me, and I believe it could mean even more for both our people." The warriors nodded, and a sense of camaraderie began to blossom among them. As the cheers began to die down, Max turned to face the assembly. "Now, as allies, we must discuss how we can work together to face any threats that may arise. There are dangerous forces in the universe that could threaten us both. Together, we can become an unstoppable force." Gloric, still buzzing from their success, raised his fist. "We will not only defend our clans but also expand our territories. With your knowledge of humans and our strength, we can conquer new worlds." Vira chimed in, her voice strong and clear. "But we must also remember the importance of emotions. If we are to fight alongside each other, we must build trust. Trust creates bonds that can withstand even the fiercest of battles." Max couldn't help but grin at their enthusiasm. "Absolutely. Trust is essential, and that starts with open communication. From now on, we will share our knowledge, our tactics, and our resources." As the group began to strategize, Max felt a sense of hope washing over him. They discussed the logistics of their alliance, sharing their respective strengths and weaknesses. The warriors were eager to learn about human technology, while Max was fascinated by their advanced weaponry and combat techniques. Suddenly, a booming voice interrupted their discussion. "Attention, warriors. We have received word of an approaching threat." It was a high-ranking commander, his tone serious. Max's heart raced. What kind of threat? The commander took a deep breath. "Scouts have reported that a fleet of Korthak ships is headed our way. They are known for their brutal tactics and desire for conquest. We must prepare ourselves for battle." The warriors exchanged worried glances, but Max stood tall. "This is our chance to prove the strength of our alliance. We can't let fear paralyze us. Instead, we need to strategize and combine our strengths." Zarok nodded firmly. "You are right. Let us prepare. We will work together to fend off the Gorthaks and protect our home." With renewed vigor, the group set to work, drawing up battle plans and fortifying their defenses. Max found himself amazed at how quickly the warriors took to the strategies he suggested, blending their own ideas with his. "Gloric, you'll lead the ground forces. Your strength and experience will be invaluable," Max said, feeling more confident than ever. "Vera, I want you to coordinate the aerial assaults. Your quick thinking and agility will give us the upper hand." As they continued to strategize, laughter and shouts filled the air, the sense of camaraderie unmistakable. The warriors worked tirelessly, preparing their weapons and gathering resources, united under a single purpose. As dusk fell, casting an orange glow over the chamber, Max stood back to observe the bustling activity. His heart swelled with pride. They had come so far from their initial meeting. Finally, when everything was in place, Max gathered everyone. "Tomorrow, we face our enemies together. But remember, we are not just fighting for victory. We are fighting for our bonds, our trust, and a future where our worlds can thrive side by side." The warriors erupted in cheers, their voices ringing with determination. Max smiled, feeling the warmth of their newfound alliance. The weight of the universe no longer felt so heavy. They were ready to face the challenges ahead, stronger together than they had ever been alone. In that moment, Max knew that they had forged not just an alliance but a family, one that could change the course of their destinies forever. The Gorthaks may be coming, but they would face them head-on, united by the lessons of trust, strength, and the power of emotion. Together, they were ready for anything.